A house is made of wood and stone, but only love can make a home. Welcome to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, helping you make your home into one you'll love even more. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday, Hailey. Happy Saturday. Happy Christmas
Saturday.
Eve.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Dan.
Yeah, Merry Christmas,
Happy
Hailey.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Dan. I think, yeah, Christmas is my birthday, and I don't ask for much, ever.
Okay.
But I, for my birthday, I think it's only fair that everybody listening gather around the radio and sing me some kind of birthday song. I like the Beatles. I like the Beatles birthday song better than the just straight up happy birthday.
It's pretty
Not
picky.
going to be too picky. But, either that or post a gift my way.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't mean
so high maintenance.
I don't mean any of that, Hailey. I am not high maintenance.
You are turning 50 though. It's a big one.
I'm the opposite of high maintenance. But now I'm turning 50. The maintenance is gonna have to pick up. Yeah. No, I'm not a big fan of this. We talked about it, but it's really been a kind of a big deal.
Yeah, over the past year, I feel like you've really been exploring a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I know. It literally has to be that because I started with the motorcycle, horseback riding.
Yes.
I mean, all these new things I'm going to do. And yeah, I think you were the first one who said, "Are you having a midlife crisis?" I think so.
It's
anyway,
okay.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed my midlife crisis.
I think it's been healthy.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how I do with my birthday tomorrow morning. Right. We'll find out. Anyway, on the show today, we have got all kinds of stuff planned, and I'm going to be very honest right up front.
It's all about Christmas.
Yeah, very little of this has anything to do with home improvement stuff. So if you're here for home improvement tips and how to paint something, probably not your gig today.
Yeah, there's really only tools talked about in the snowman section. So
tools you'll need to build a snowman. So if that's piquing your interest, hang around. But anyway, everything that we're going to talk about is going to be fun. That's our whole point. I've got the maturity level of about a 10-year-old, I think. Probably an immature 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I'm
all
having...
the time, but right now especially.
I'm having a very hard time focusing on the task at hand. It's all about Christmas. Yes. I'm very excited.
Well, we've got our big announcement that we make, too. We've got our winners of our Christmas giveaway.
Yes. Someone's
winning a $500 Visa gift card. Another person's winning $250 Visa gift card. And a third person is going to win $250 to RepcoLite. So.
And we're going to draw a fourth person who's going to foot the bill for all of those things. So you're going to want to hang around and make sure your name is called in the first three, and definitely not the fourth one. Anyway, is that true? Is that just Dan saying stuff? You're going to have to hang around to the end to find out. We'll also be talking about some Christmas traditions, things that my family does.
Where they came from.
We're going to be talking about snowmen.
Yes, the history.
There's a really interesting history, Hailey promises.
Yes.
I'll find out. I'm going to find out. Yeah, I believe you. We'll find out together. But right now, we're going to talk about another interesting topic that Hailey has said will blow our hair back. We're going to be so stunned to find out the history of the Christmas orange. There, Hailey, I've set you up.
I appreciate your sarcasm,
deliver the goods, just like St. Nicholas delivering the goods.
Well, way to give it away.
I didn't talk about oranges.
All right. Wow. There's a couple theories about where the whole orange and Christmas tradition comes from.
Well, and first off, let's talk about that because you are really excited, you told me, about the whole Christmas orange tradition because you decorate with Christmas oranges.
Yeah,
or oranges.
I really like decorating with them. I cut them up, I put them in the oven, dry them out, make them into garland, and I just think it's a really pretty way to decorate for Christmas. And it's inexpensive. I mean, it's a DIY project. Hey, there we go.
Oh, so now we're DIYing. That make me a liar. But anyway, so
but also people get them in stockings, right? Like this is
people
a classic.
Used to get them in stockings.
I think some people still do this. I was reading some blogs. There are people out there.
Okay.
I don't think they're very popular people.
No. Well, the people who give those aren't terribly well received.
But it's a thing. It's been a long-standing tradition. So
let's talk about where it came from.
Curious where it came from. There's a couple theories. There's not really any serious consensus about where it came from exactly.
All right.
Of course. But the first theory, and probably the most likely, is that it relates to or stems from the generosity of St. Nick. who was the inspiration behind Santa Claus, right?
All right.
So Saint Nick was a wealthy, well, he was the son of a wealthy merchant. I shouldn't
Well, maybe
say
he
that.
was wealthy. No, I don't think he was. But anyway,
Well,
he was the
giving a lot of stuff
son,
away, so potentially he started off
taking it
wealthy.
from Pops and handing it out. So
Yeah, but he lived down the road from a family that had fallen on hard times around Christmas. And so his idea was to go to this family's house at night, and through the open window, he threw bags of gold into all of the kids' stockings.
like he just slam dunked them?
I guess so. He's got quite the
I
arm.
guess he didn't slam dunk them, but he sunk the shot
Yeah.
right into the stocking.
Pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
So they wake
I
up.
would have hit the children as they're curled up on the wherever they are, the
waiting.
floor
Well,
or whatever.
Santa wasn't a thing yet, I guess. So
Yeah, they wouldn't have known to
Yeah.
expect me coming and chucking gold at them. So anyway, he dumps them into their stockings.
Yes.
They wake up the next morning. Oh,
right,
there's gold in my
thrilled.
stocking.
The father is trying to figure out where this came from. Finally, figures out that it was Nicholas and goes into the town and is just telling everyone how generous he is.
Everybody's putting their stockings up at this point,
Right,
I'm assuming.
exactly. But this is where the idea of Santa Claus, Saint Nick, came from.
All right.
And it's also where potentially the idea of the orange in the stocking came from, because the orange is said to represent the little bag of gold.
Oh, it's a cheap out.
Yeah,
All
but I
right.
think it's possible.
It's nature's cheap out on a bag of gold. But it still works. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where you're thinking
They
one.
used to be
one-
pretty rare, so I mean,
Sure.
potentially it's
right.
like gold.
It's not gold rare, but it's still rare.
Yes.
So that's one idea. Another idea.
They represent the giving season
Oranges do.
because they can be broken up into sections and shared amongst your friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, there you go.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice thought.
Yeah, I'm going to buy bigger oranges. The only ones that we've got are the ones that are easy to peel.
The little clementines
Yeah,
or
they're really
mandarin
tiny,
oranges.
so- Splitting those, I don't know how
That's
much Christmas cheer is passed around, but it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah,
It's not the quantity.
Exactly. But I think the idea was really popularized during the Great Depression when, we were looking for really cheap, simple
Yeah.
gifts, and oranges were super rare at the time, so they were probably the only thing that you got under the tree during that time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Great Depression, great because it was big, not because it was so wonderful, right?
Thanks for the clarification.
I want everybody to know that. I always struggled with that.
Hmm.
Why is everybody complaining if it was the Great Depression?
Really?
Yeah. Somebody had to explain that to me. Sadly, it was at Grand Valley, and
Oh
I was
my
much
gosh.
older than I should have been. Anyway, Hailey, I appreciate that. That is very interesting. We're going to take a break.
Yes.
And when we come back, you're going to dish the dirt on snowmen at that point, right?
Well, I don't want any dirt on my snowmen, but yes.
You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Snowmen, how to build them, why we
History
build
of them,
and the tools
really
you'll
fun.
need. All of that's just ahead. Stay tuned.
Helping you turn your house into your dream home. This is the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, presented by Benjamin Moore on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back. And Hailey, it's time to talk about snowmen
Yeah.
and the history behind them. We've covered the Christmas
Oranges.
orange. And now on the RepcoLite Christmas Extravaganza.
Yeah, we've got a Christmas special.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is fun. I should have worn a hat or some sort of festive
yeah, we could
gear.
have been festive.
Yeah, we didn't. Haley wore a
Well,
sweatshirt.
I'm green. I mean, that's
Well, I'm wearing a sweater. Oh. So real quick,
okay.
I've got Hannah at home.
Yeah.
She's 15,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Pretty sure.
14, 15?
She's one of those ages. She's
Yeah.
right in that zone, right in that butter zone. And anyway, Maddie, my older daughter, she has all this ridiculous clothing that she buys.
nice.
That I know. She knows it. She calls it her grandma clothes. But she's got these sweaters and stuff, and she loves geese and ducks and
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
So she's got a sweater with a duck on it. Anyway, Maddie does. She knows they're a little bit ridiculous, but there's certain things that
Yeah.
she just really loves. And
Yeah.
she loves her duck sweater.
That's awesome.
Anyway, the other day, Hannah was asking her where her duck sweater is and if she could wear it to school. And so Maddie is all excited, and
Yeah.
she gets it out and brings it in and says,
Oh,
why do you
geez.
want it? And Hannah says, we have an ugly sweater contest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, dead silence at the table.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah doesn't think
So
all the
honest.
time. She is. Honest to a fault.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Gotta love it.
How did I get there? Oh, Christmas garb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing a sweater, not an ugly sweater.
Or a Christmas sweater, but a sweater.
No, it's a sweater. It means it's cold outside, and so I'm representing. We want to talk about snowmen on the RepcoLite Christmas Extravaganza.
Yes.
And the history behind them, because it's
right. They're
deeper than we might
surprisingly
think.
ancient, actually.
Yeah. But you were going to say anxious.
Oh.
I'm anxious. Snowmen are chill.
Okay.
All right, go with it.
I'm going to let that one go.
I know.
So archaeologists actually theorized that cavemen were probably making some sort of snow sculpture.
Okay. Now, see, that's a ridiculous claim to begin with.
We don't have evidence, obviously, because they melt. But the idea is that because they were using other materials at the time that were readily available to make art, like cave paintings, and they made small sculptures out of like mud and sticks, snow is probably not lost on them as a material readily available to make things out of. So most likely there were things being made in caveman times even.
All right, but we have not found anything frozen in the ice bed.
No.
Like little charcoal eyes or something
And like a
that.
carrot with like some sticks next to
petrified
it.
carrot.
Oh, this must have been left over from a snowman. No.
None of that.
None of that.
We're just guessing
None of that.
based on...
Well, and really we wouldn't see that because our idea of a snowman and what it's supposed to look like now, like Frosty the Snowman, does not actually take hold until the 1940s. And we'll get to that.
Okay.
But the first evidence that we have of a snowman is in 1380. There was an illustration that was published. And that's the very first time that we have a record of a snowman.
In the year 1380.
Yes.
We have... In what form was this published?
In like, I don't know, some
Well,
publication.
right,
Dan.
but I mean, what was the... Was the point the snowman, or was it
No,
just kind of an off...
It was just like kind of like an off, you know.
But
like
we know that was a snowman.
Yes. Yeah, it was very
1380
clearly a snowman. And
People
there
are
was
making
like
snowmen.
writing about it.
All right. So where do we go from there?
So from there, we don't get, photographic evidence until later, but we do know that they were being used really as a folk art in the 1500s even. So in the Middle Ages, people were using snowman even to actually protest things.
Okay.
They were being used in political nature because people didn't have, some people couldn't read or write. So they didn't have a lot of resources to communicate their ideas. And here's
so they had
this
to wait till winter.
free material
Right.
for them to sculpt things out of, and they could say whatever they wanted.
See, if I were, in the political hierarchy,
Sure.
I would have not done anything potentially protest-worthy in the cooler seasons. See how I would have avoided all of these protests? I would have only done my...
Sure, your dirty work in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to make a snowman now, right? I would have been smart. Nothing questionable in the winter. It's all
Nope.
oranges for everybody, right?
Yep. Bribe them all.
All right. But people didn't think that far ahead. They
Right.
weren't thinkers like
No.
I am. And the political figures of the time made mistakes in the winter. And
people were pretty vocal about
common
it.
people got vocal with snowmen.
Yeah. But they were a real folk art, too. People took it pretty seriously as an art form.
Okay.
They were legitimate sculptures.
Like, would they have competitions? Or would they just do this on...
I think anyone would do it, but artists like Michelangelo, for example, was known to practice in snow because, again, it was a free material. Here's something that he can make some carvings out of.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually commissioned by someone to make a fancy snow sculpture.
You're not going to tell us that he's the first one to use coal for eyes and a carrot for a nose? That'd be really awesome.
But we do
so you
have some images that we'll put in the YouTube video and that we can link to.
Of Michelangelo's snowman?
Not of his, but there's another artist that carved things out of snow.
Da Vinci?
Larkin Mead. And I guess he's known for a sculpture that he made for a Lincoln Memorial in Springfield.
Out of snow?
No.
Oh.
That's a real thing.
Okay. Shoot.
But he got to the position and notoriety to be able to make that by making really impressive snow sculptures. He got so much publicity that he ended up getting commissioned to make real sculptures out of, stone.
Out of real things?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's snow sculptures. Are we still calling that snowmen?
Yeah.
Was it people?
They were still making people.
Okay,
yes.
so you said it. They didn't look like our snowmen
right.
today.
They were like realistic
They're
sculptures.
realistic.
Yeah.
And so we don't have photos because it's the 1500s. They didn't have Instagram or the TikTok.
But we have some illustrations from back then.
Okay.
And then we do have photographs starting to appear. And they do depict people making, whole families of realistic-looking people.
All right.
So
we'll put links in the show notes to these other pictures.
Yes,
so
we
these
can do
illustrations.
that.
So
or
you
check
can
out
see
the
that.
YouTube.
Folk art, they're using it to convey images and ideas and concepts. Yes. They're protesting with their snowmen.
Right. But all of that kind of gets ruined when Frosty the Snowman comes around. Because that's really when our current idea and understanding of the snowman begins.
Okay, so that did not exist until Frosty comes about. And when did Frosty come about?
So it dates back to a book that was written that was about a traveling snowman. And he wasn't called Frosty in that book. He was actually called Snowy the Snowman. Even more creative. But yeah, that book was pretty popular. And then it wasn't until like the 1950s where we start seeing that in like small shorts and in film. So that's when really the idea took off.
And that's when snowmen became like three balls on top of each other.
Yep, with like the
with
corncob pipe and the coal eyes and the carrot nose. That's when all that started.
Is that how you've made snowmen? Do you ever really, really go all out and create the traditional coal?
Yeah, well, not with coal, but
stones.
I'll use things that look like coal.
Yes.
Carrot nose.
Lava rocks.
I've actually had the corncob pipe in a snowman's mouth before. I've gone all out. Yeah.
Put a little scarf on your snowman?
Oh, yeah. Little top hat.
Do you remember last year you brought me out? There's a house right near our studio.
There was a giant snowman.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I think that's really kind of cool because I really think we should go back to what they started as. This is the only time in our lives, probably, that we get to make life-size sculptures for free.
Oh, that's very true. I
or
like that.
Ever.
Right. No, that can be a lot of fun. Right. I've made dragons. And I made a dragon. Let's be honest.
Dragons?
Yeah. And it really didn't look like a dragon. I had to tell everybody that's a dragon.
Sure.
But in my heart,
it was a dragon.
It was a dragon.
No, I think that we don't take advantage of, the possibilities with a snowman as much as we could.
All right.
We're very stuck on the Frosty image.
All right. So we can make them cooler than that.
I think we can go back to what they did before.
All right. So you mentioned, and you told us at the beginning of the show, you've got a minute left. You talked about tools that you were going to recommend for this whole process. What do you got for us?
So if you're going to make a more realistic looking snowman, there are some things that you might want to have around just to help you, carve and sculpt a little bit more. So a screwdriver would be one of them, a file, if you're really packing that snow down and now you got to smooth out some edges to get it just right.
Putty knife would work.
Yeah. Sandpaper, actually.
Sandpaper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can sand
the
snow
non-clogging
down, buff it out.
Right. You want the sandpaper that can be used wet or dry.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, really? I was just being ridiculous.
Oh, no. Yeah,
okay,
that's
well,
true.
There we go. Ding! Dan gets another one right.
Good job, Dan.
What else?
But even like a spray bottle to mist the snowman.
Yes.
If it's not, packing well enough, or if you're kind of wanting to undo something without wrecking something else just to melt the snow a little bit.
Yeah, tuck that in the back of your mind when we do have melting snow, and it's Michigan, so who knows when that's going to be. I'm going to make no claims on the radio because I've not been right about weather yet. So
that's true.
Anyway, we'll put links in the show notes to some of those illustrations we talked about.
Yeah.
A list of the tools. And if you create something amazing outside, we want to see it. Send it to RepcoLite.com. Or no, send it to info@RepcoLite.com.
Or post it on Instagram and tag us.
Man, there's so many different ways to go.
Paints.
Tag us. We can see it. We'll talk about it on air and call you out. All right. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll be talking about Christmas traditions, where they came from, more of those. And then we'll give away those prizes at the end.
Yes.
That's all just ahead. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back, and Hailey, we're working our way through our Christmas extravaganza, having a lot of fun along the way, not a lot of home improvement stuff. So we apologize to the true believers out there who were here for paint and paint related.
Potentially we could have talked about like Santa's workshop.
Yeah, we chose not to.
Elves working.
Yeah, we chose not to. We didn't cover any of that. We're just having fun because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas Eve. We're almost there.
It's basically Christmas.
It's Christmas Eve. Nobody gets to unwrap any presents at my house until Christmas morning. And I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Christmas morning experiences in the next segment.
Okay.
It's very funny. You're going to want to be here for that. And if you've ever had a terrible Christmas as a parent, this will make you feel better about
good.
whatever experiences you've had. They're not as bad as what I've had.
I think I know.
So anyway, that's coming up. Right now, let's talk about what I think is probably on a lot of people's minds. I mean, we're thinking about parties and events and things we're going to go to.
Food we're going to eat.
Of
presents we're going to get.
Like when you think of a Christmas meal, what do you think of? Don't let me down here, Hailey.
Okay.
What do you think? What's the staple Christmas meal in Hailey's mind?
Either like a turkey or a ham.
Yeah, turkey. We think of
or
that.
Or both, honestly.
Right. Honestly, if it's a good one.
Yeah.
What is that one thing? Turducken?
Oh.
Turkey, duck,
yeah.
and chicken.
Just the idea of the things being stuffed inside of each other seems a little...
I know. I'm not a big turducken fan, but I do like to say it out loud. And I don't get many opportunities, so I'm going to use it now that I have it. Anyway, we think about get-togethers and feasts and turkey and all of those things. My Christmas thing with my mom and dad, they're going to take us all caroling. We'll see how that goes.
They made you do that, huh?
Caroling and all of that. Right. All of that is what we think of as Christmas. And it seems like it's just always been Christmas that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the things we've talked about today, like the snowmen, the oranges, like these things are just, they are.
Right. Well,
they're ever present.
The thing is, all of Christmas, as we think of it, all the
Right.
things that we just talked about, caroling and all of that, not a big deal. It's relatively recent that it is a big deal. In the early 19th century, so early 1800s, Christmas isn't even a business holiday.
Huh.
Gifts are not exchanged on a regular basis. That was mostly New Year's Day.
Well, that's a little,
I know,
that's connected
it's
to the
odd.
lunch.
Yet, by the end of the 19th century, so within 100 years' time, Christmas is the biggest annual celebration on the British calendar.
That's a pretty big turnaround.
So a huge turnaround. What happened to get that going? Well, there are a few interesting things that did get that moving. And I'm going to kind of go out of sequence.
Okay.
And I'm going to save the biggest one, the one that had the most impact for last, because that's the one that most matters to me. Let's start with Christmas cards. Another thing that we think of as just being around forever. Actually, the first Christmas cards came out in about 1843, I think it was.
I guess that makes sense with like mail and printing and...
Well, right. The mail was going on way longer than we think, which is very interesting. Like, Ben Franklin was...
Okay, yeah.
The Postmaster General, I believe they called him. I forget. I'm not good on terms, but I do know that he was in charge of that, and I do find it remarkably interesting how well mail was able to travel.
Yeah, it is really impressive.
Way long ago. But yes, everything is improving constantly.
Right.
But the printing process also becomes more economical. But in 1843, there's a guy who comes up with the first Christmas cards. Prints like 1,000 of them.
Wow.
I don't know if he sold them. I can't imagine that the man had 1,000 friends.
I would think he sold them.
I would think so. I know I don't send I don't send any Christmas cards, let's be honest. And I could buy a box and I would have that same box for
Do you receive them?
years. Yeah, I do get them.
Yeah.
I'm
They
a
always make me feel
connoisseur of
bad.
getting them, yes.
Because I always feel like, oh, it's another year I forgot to do that.
Yeah, I think that's part of the fun of sending Christmas cards.
To make other people...
Is knowing, yes, that the person who gets it is going to go, oh, they beat me.
Should have done that.
Yep. Anyway, Christmas cards, 1843. A couple years later, as printing becomes more economical, people are doing more and more of this. They thought it was cool.
Everyone likes getting mail.
Right. Well, the older you get, the less mail I like receiving because I'm not getting a lot of good mail anymore.
Yeah, but the good mail is like extra good then.
Yes, that is. But the Christmas cards, it's just guilt mail. But I am happy to hear from everybody. Christmas cards. Don't get me off track and in trouble with family members. Big thing, 1843. Yes. Now we're going to jump ahead and skip over the thing that's the biggest impact on Christmas as we now know it, and we're going to jump ahead to Christmas trees. Now there's lots of debate as to where the Christmas tree comes from, but most evidence seems to point towards present-day Germany during the Middle Ages. No, there are a number of references to Christmas trees per se that date back to the late 18th century, early 19th century. Little passing notes, in literature and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know that they even called it a Christmas tree. It's the evergreen. It's the tree in the house. It's something like that. But it seems to be that they're referencing Christmas trees.
It's the first time a tree was in the house.
We know that it goes back to that time, and holly and ivy and all that goes back even further as Christmas decor. But the idea of a decorated Christmas tree with presents underneath it, that has a very specific origin, and it goes back to an engraving of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert and their children all gathering around a tree like we would picture.
I think I know that picture. It's really, that's extremely famous.
Yes, it's extremely famous. It was published in the London News in 1848, and once that hit the presses and got into the people's little grubby hands, they saw that picture. Well, they were dirtier back then, right? They didn't have as much soap and all of those things. It's why I don't want to live back there.
Back there.
Yeah, you got me all off track again, Hailey. Once that hit everybody's little eyes and we saw that, we realized that's is a Christmas tree. That is amazing. I want that whole vibe in my space.
This picture went viral.
Right, it did.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was the newspapers were the Instagram of their time.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got the Christmas trees and the card. They helped. That's all important. But it was a book that came out that really turned everything around. And that book was published in 1843, so the same year as Christmas cards. It was a book written by Charles Dickens. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. It's a Christmas Carol. Right. That's published, and that changes everything. And even now, all these years later, most of us know that story.
No, it's true.
It's a really old
thing.
thing.
The characters, Scrooge and Tiny Tim.
Right. They're in our psyche. We refer to people as Scrooges.
Well, it's a classic.
Exactly. So that hits the market and changes everything. And for my family, it's our Christmas tradition. We've got to watch as many renditions of this movie as we can possibly find. And we found a lot of them. It is extreme. But I don't do anything in half measures.
Yeah, I don't know why that's shocking.
Right? No, I'm full bore.
Yes.
Whatever I'm doing, I'm doing it. And I'm not doing anything else. So we watch a lot of those. I love the story. The story is absolutely great. And we're going to get to some of that. But this year, we've taken it up a notch. You would think.
Further.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's even bigger at our house. I found a play online that is a very, very faithful rendition of the story, and we did that at the table. Everybody, well, we didn't just read it, Hailey. We acted it.
You acted it.
Yep. Yeah. I got to be Tiny Tim. I got to sing Christmas carols and say, "God bless us, everyone," and all of those things. I was so happy. I got to be Scrooge. Andrew was Marley. I mean, we had a ton of fun. I really strongly recommend that if you want
Does
the best
Maggie
Christmas.
have a part? Your
Maggie,
dog?
the dog?
Yeah.
No, she looks at us honestly like we're insane.
Good. Yeah. Someone needs to.
Okay. Yeah, we were going on, and Maggie just sits there and stares at us. And then she walked away and curled up on the couch and just looked like she was shaking her heads. Anyway, it's something that we do.
Yes, that's
The kids loved it. It's the first time we did it. They want to do it every year. But the whole point that I'm trying to get to is that when Charles Dickens wrote this story, Christmas wasn't being celebrated as he described. Think about that. Family parties, feasting, dancing, they weren't the practice at the time. Neither was Christmas thought of as a season of goodwill and kindness and charity.
Right.
That was not a thing. Even caroling. I think we mentioned that at the beginning, but caroling was a thought that was inspired by the book. It seems to be anyway.
He really created the holiday as we know it. Well, that's a lot of stuff.
In the idea of the way we celebrate it, yes, it seems like he really pulled it all together and
it's pretty impressive work.
Right. All of that. He reestablished Christmas as a season of goodwill to all men in the hearts and the minds of the public.
Right.
The book was called A New Gospel. By a lot of people around because it had the power to change people's perspectives. The whole story of Scrooge is a conversion story, a redemption story, and it's really, really, really good. And I like to play it for the kids or live it with the kids and tell them that you, Hannah, are being a Scrooge right now. Do you want to be a Scrooge, a good Scrooge, or do you want... See, it's really good for parenting. You can leverage a lot of guilt with something like this.
Dress up as a ghost at night and...
Yes. Have you seen, way off topic, have you seen, I don't know if it's a current trend or if it's just I'm seeing it now, but parents dressing up as the Grinch and then getting beaten up by their children?
What?
Yes. I know we're way off topic,
This is
but
the
it's
thing
worth
that's
it.
happening right now.
Yes, I've seen several videos where they think it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
So the Grinch comes in as a parent, and then the kids
just
I don't
freak
think this
out.
Is right. It's not cool at all. Kids are freaking out. They're screaming.
Yeah,
they're crying.
that's a little sad.
And yet, like, there's one I saw, this little boy who's like absolutely traumatized, but he is going to defend his home.
Oh my God.
So he goes to town on the Grinch. Yeah. Terrible parenting decisions.
Yeah,
there. Anyway, so no,
interesting.
I'm not going to dress up as the ghosts of Christmas past or
that's fair.
anything like that. But I am going to recommend for anybody out there that if we get the weather that they're predicting, and who knows whether we've gotten it or not, we record the show. In fact, last week we talked about a million.
Such a failure.
Yeah, a million things you should do outside. Get on your roof and do this. Check your chimney.
All these prep, things to do to prepare for the snow, but it was already snowing.
Right. When we recorded it, there was no prediction for snow at all.
Right.
Not for the Saturday.
Nope.
And by the time it airs, there's like 3 feet of snow outside.
Insane.
Hopefully, nobody got on their roof. But if we did get the weather that they're predicting right now while we're recording this,
It's probably going to be extreme.
I say you need to go to RepcoLite.com. I'm going to put links in the show notes for this episode 290, and I'm going to have a link to Sheer Gold. All of my favorite Christmas Carol renditions, I will show you which ones to rent, and I'll put them in order
Oh,
so you know which ones to watch first. And I will also put a link to that play that I found. It's Christmas Gold fun. Check it out. And it's a great story to boot.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to be talking about My Funny Christmas Story.
Sure, but more importantly, the Christmas giveaway.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
winners.
your stuff. But yes,
no.
most importantly, the winners, and even more importantly, that fourth person who's going to pay for all the prizes. That's all coming up just ahead. Stay tuned.
If you want to take your DIY skills up a rung, the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show is here to give you a boost. On News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
And we're back. And Hailey, we've got all the random winners chosen.
Yes.
And we're going to announce the names, and that's going to be very fun. That's coming up at the end, so maybe 7 minutes from now.
Stay tuned.
Yes, we'll be screaming those names from the rooftops. I would not screaming, shouting. I don't know that that's any better at all. We'll announce the names. Let's just say it in a very normal and controlled, professional manner, like the way we do everything here. Yeah. Before we get to the names, I do need to clarify, too, there is no fourth name
the fourth
of that person.
RepcoLite.
Right. I claimed that there was a fourth name who was going to have to pay for everything. I don't want anybody worrying, sitting in a puddle of sweat, hoping that it's not going to be them.
What did I sign up for?
Not going to happen. We'll pay for them because we're big-hearted like that. Well, we won't.
Well,
RepcoLite will.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm not buying the gifts here. Right. Anyway, before we get to that, let's talk about Christmas stuff. And of course, it's the Christmas special. It's what we've been talking about all show long. I want to talk about to me, I think it's a really ridiculous memory. Sure. It's a pretty bad one, but it's funny now. We've all laughed about it now. But before we get to that, I'm curious about your Christmases as a little kid. Little Hailey wakes up, rubs her little eyes, and there's Christmas happening. What were those days like?
I mean, Christmas was always good. I don't know that I've got like super specific, like that was the best Christmas or that was the worst Christmas.
Oh, boy.
There were Christmases that I was worried about.
Oh.
Like.
Well, that's intriguing. Like you weren't going to get good stuff?
I'm not going to get that gift that I wanted.
Okay.
It's definitely not under the tree. I've scoped out the presents. That's not the right size, not the right weight. It's not happening for me this year.
Okay, so you had presents under the tree already.
Yeah.
Okay, we went to bed Christmas Eve with an empty tree, and then we woke up and there it was.
Only the Santa presents came out like the night
Okay.
before. The other ones were there already.
Yeah, my parents didn't get me anything. Santa delivered on it all. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, it all showed up.
Interesting.
Yeah, he made a lot of noise getting those things out. Grunted a lot like Dad, but still, that's when they showed up while we were sleeping.
Well, I don't know how they did it. I can't even remember, but I did end up getting the presents that I wanted. They had put it in a different box to trick me because they were smart parents. But
that can work that way really well. My mom's, I think her brother wrapped a tiny present in the biggest box he could find for her.
That is so disappointing.
Yes, and she was all excited all Christmas, because their presents came out early, and she saw it and couldn't imagine what was in this huge box.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Yeah, good
That's a
times.
little- Yeah.
Good times. Good times. Yeah, no. So yeah, our family, we always put the presents out. They come out Christmas Eve while everybody's sleeping.
Got it.
And the kids wake up and it's magic, right? I had a couple of I thought they were going to be amazing Christmases. My very first one with the first two kids. The first two kids I had were twins, Caleb and Maddie. And they were born in November, so the following Christmas, not that first one, they were boring that Christmas. They just cried a lot. But the next Christmas, turns out they still cried a lot. But they got Jeeps, those little motorized Jeeps that, we collected Pampers points or something and turned them in and got these Jeeps. And I stayed up, I think I was up till 4 a.m, putting them together on Christmas Eve.
Put them together?
Yes, it was really
That
complicated.
seems ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. And I was not pleased. I wished I had started a lot sooner. But as I got them going, I realized they are going to be so pumped. I mean, this is amazing.
The coolest thing.
So I haul them upstairs and get them under the tree and the little bows on top and then all the other things that are out there. And then 6 o'clock, I'm ready to wake them up. My wife says, you can't wake them up yet. I said, no, it's Christmas. We don't sleep in on Christmas. We get up at 5 at some ridiculous hour of the day, and we unwrap what's happened under the tree. And she said, you can't do it. You can't do that to these little kids. And I said, they'll be fine. So I wake them up. I need to find the pictures and put them on the YouTube. All they did was scream. I brought them into the living room. They stood there in their little pajamas. Yeah. And they just looked at the Jeeps, and then they just started screaming. Tears were pouring down their face. And then I picked them up and I put them in the Jeep.
See,
and then they still cried. And I honked the horn. They screamed. It was terrible. So that was one really messed up Christmas. I messed that one up. One that I really think of that I don't feel bad about. It wasn't my fault, but man, it was something else. My son Caleb got older and he really loved animals, loves animals. And so I got him this really big hardcover book, huge hardcover, heavy book with all kinds of animals. I mean, it was gold. This was Christmas gold. And that was the year I decided I was going to videotape the whole Christmas. So I had a video camera set up on a tripod, and I was trying to position myself so that as I handed things out, I could see, on the video, see them, not block them. And so I had the little viewer flipped my way so I could see what I was doing. So I'm watching to make sure that I can see, and I'm not looking at the kid, at Caleb. So I grab that big package and I hand it behind myself towards him. And I'm watching on the little screen just to make sure I'm not in the way. And he won't take it. I can feel that it's hitting his hands, and I keep ramming it at him. Finally, I turn around and I look, and I have hit him in the eye 4 times in a row with the corner of that big book. He's crying. He's reeling back. The other kids are recoiling, saying, Dad, just stop
hurting
Caleb. Why are you hitting him so? Yeah. Once he got over that and he could see again out of that eye, he loved that book. I mean, he loved it with the one eye, but he really loved it when he could see it with both. But that was a pretty traumatic Christmas.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, so I've done a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of good, but there has been a share of crying. Have you had crying Christmases?
Not that I remember, no.
How about a brother? You have a brother. Did he have a crying Christmas or two? Nobody's lived. Until they've had one.
I mean...
Oh, man.
It sounds boring.
Yeah, it does.
They were not traumatic.
No, I've had a number of them. We've had really good ones, but we have had those traumatic ones. I'm not sure what this one will be like.
Hopefully not traumatic.
I'm not going to hit anybody with their gifts. You never know, though.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Just don't beat people up on Christmas.
What was the Seinfeld holiday? Festivus? With the airing of the grievances?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Sometimes
right.
that's what our Christmases have felt like.
Maybe you should have a Festivus.
We have Festivus all year round. Christmas is a break from Festivus. Anyway, hoping for the best. Hope you have the best Christmas. Now let's get to those names. And shall we just start with the big one? Or do you want to go up to the big one?
Let's go up to the big one. That's
all right.
Fun.
So we're going to start with the $250 gift certificate to RepcoLite.
Yes.
And randomly chosen, The $250 RepcoLite gift certificate goes to Gabrielle. We don't have a last name, but we do have an email, so we'll reach out that way. Gabrielle, $250 RepcoLite gift certificate. The $250 Visa gift card is Vern Bors. And then the $500 Visa gift card, the big winner, Lori Humphrey.
Woohoo!
All right, so we've got all of those names. We'll contact you, let you know that you won, make arrangements to get you your prizes.
Yes.
Thanks everybody else for entering, for being a part of it.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, Hailey, that's all the time we've got. We're going to wrap it up, but not before wishing everybody out there a very Merry Christmas. And we'll talk to you before New Year. So I'm not going to give you that extra wish right now. I'm saving that one for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we'll save that one.
All right, I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Hailey Johnson. Thanks for listening.